You're washing dishes when the knock comes. 3 knocks. Specific. The kind of knock that isn't asking permission. You dry your hands. You don't rush. You open the door. It's Marco. You've known Marco for 11 years, and in 11 years he has never once come to your apartment. That was the rule. Your space stays clean. Your space stays separate. Your space is the one corner of your life that doesn't belong to them. Marco is standing in your doorway, which means the rule just ended. He steps inside without being invited. He looks at your apartment the way men like him look at everything, measuring it, cataloging it. He sits at your kitchen table. He puts down a phone. On the screen is a photo. You look at the photo. You look at Marco. You ask him how long you have. He says 3 hours. You've been doing this for 14 years. Not this specifically. Not for this family specifically. You started smaller. Crime scene cleanup. Legitimate company. Legitimate contracts. The kind of work that exists in the gap between what happens in the city and what the city is willing to see. You were good at it. Better than good. You had a system, and the system worked. And the work was just work until the night a man named Caruso watched you for 40 minutes from a doorway. He handed you a piece of paper with a number on it. You called the number. That was 14 years ago. You have cleaned 41 scenes for this family. You remember every single one. The address Marco gives you is 20 minutes away. You don't ask what happened. You never ask what happened. What happened is not your department. What happened is the thing before your job starts. The less you know about it, the cleaner your mind stays when you're working. A distracted cleaner is a cleaner who misses something. And a cleaner who misses something is a cleaner who eventually sits across from a detective in a room with no windows. You've never sat in that room. You intend to keep it that way. You load the van. Same order every time. Chemicals first, equipment second, bags in the back, folded flat. You check the light, the specific wavelength that shows you what the human eye can't see, and what a forensic team would spend 6 months turning into a case. The light works. You close the van. You drive. You smell it before you open the door. This is normal. You stopped having a reaction to the smell somewhere around year 3, and now it's just information. Same way a doctor reads a chart. Same way a mechanic listens to an engine. The smell tells you things. Tells you how long. Tells you roughly what happened. Tells you what you're walking into before you see it. You put on your gloves. You open the door. The room is bad. Not the worst you've seen. You've seen worse. But bad enough that you stand in the doorway for a full 30 seconds just reading it before you take your first step inside. This is your rule. The one you made for yourself on the very first job and have never broken since. You stand and you read the room. You find the story it's trying to tell. And then you figure out how to make sure that story never reaches anyone who can act on it. You turn on the light. The walls light up like a map. You get to work. 2 hours and 40 minutes later, you're done. Not almost done. Not mostly done. Done. You've been over every surface 3 times. You've checked every corner the light touched and every corner it didn't. You've bagged everything that needs to leave the location and logged in your head every location in the city that can handle what's in those bags without a record. You do one final walk, slow, methodical, starting at the door and moving inward in a grid pattern, the way you've done it 41 times before. You're not looking for anything specific. You're looking for the thing you didn't think to look for. The thing that surprises you. In 14 years, the final walk has caught something 11 times. 11 times the job would have been incomplete without it. You finish the walk. The room is clean. Not clean like you cleaned it. Clean like nothing happened here. You've taken 4 hours of a story that would have ended careers and lives, and you've turned it into silence. You pick up the bags. You leave. The drop takes another hour. You don't rush the drop either. This is where people make mistakes. The job feels done because the location is clean and the mind wants to relax and the body wants to go home. And that looseness is exactly when errors happen. You drive the speed limit. You stop at every light. You take a route you've never taken before. And you watch your mirrors the entire way with the same attention you gave the room. You make the drop. You confirm. You drive home. Marco is still at your kitchen table. You didn't expect this. In 14 years, Marco has handed off a job and disappeared. But he's sitting there with 2 glasses on the table and a bottle you don't recognize. And he looks at you when you come in with an expression you've never seen on his face before. You sit down. He pours. You wait. He says the boss wants to meet you. You put the glass down. In 14 years, you have never met the boss. This was not an accident. This was architecture, carefully maintained by both sides, because both sides understood that the distance was the protection. You don't exist in the boss's world, and the boss doesn't exist in yours. You tell Marco you don't think that's a good idea. Marco nods like he knew you'd say that. He says it wasn't a request. The meeting is in 3 days. You spend those 3 days doing what you always do. Routine, dishes, morning walks, the ordinary surface of a life that looks like nothing from the outside, but underneath it is the calculation you've been doing. You know too much. You've always known too much. 41 scenes, 14 years. You are the single most dangerous person this family has ever employed because you are the living record of everything they've needed to erase. Every other person who knows what you know is gone. You made sure of that yourself, though you didn't understand that's what you were doing at the time. You understand it now. You think about running. You think about what running looks like. New city, new name. The family has people in 6 cities and relationships in 12 more. You know this because you've cleaned scenes in 4 of those cities. Running is a plan that only works if they let it work, and you already know they won't. You think about the boss wanting to meet you. You think about what that means. You think about what it means that after 14 years of careful distance, the distance has suddenly closed. On the morning of the 3rd day, your phone rings. Not the burner. Your phone, the real one. The number is your sister. You stand there looking at it for a long moment. She calls on birthdays and Christmas. And it is neither of those things. You answer. She sounds strange, not scared. Something before scared. She says a man came to her door yesterday. Polite. Well-dressed. He asked her how you were doing. He said he was an old friend. He said to tell you he was looking forward to catching up. She asks if everything is okay. You tell her everything is fine. You tell her you love her. You hang up. You sit at your kitchen table. You look at the shelf above the desk at the card she sent you last Christmas. The one that says she's proud of you. You look at it for a long time. Then you stand up. You open the drawer under the counter. You take out a piece of paper and a pen, and you start writing down everything you know. Every scene, every address, every date, every name that was never supposed to be connected to any of it. 41 jobs, 14 years. When you're finished, you fold the paper. You put it in an envelope. You write an address on the front, not the police, not a lawyer, a journalist. One you've been watching for 3 years. One who's been pulling at the edges of this family story without ever finding the center. You've been the center the whole time. You put the envelope in your jacket pocket. You pick up your keys. You have a meeting to get to. You walk out of your apartment. You don't look back. You spent 14 years making sure other people's stories disappeared. It's time someone finally tells yours.